Hey, this is Amy, and it's the Bluegrass Blues podcast, episode 24.
And I'm Jesse. Well, we're several days away or past the No Kings rallies that took place across America. I think it was estimated at 8 million people across the country.
I saw between 8 and 10 million.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And we went to the Louisville rally. It was an impressive gathering. I personally estimated between, I'd say, 15 to 20,000 people were in downtown Louisville, but we have bad media coverage here, which we've talked about many times, and I saw that WDRB made reference to hundreds. Of people.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing was that I have not seen a demonstration that big in the city before, and there was some of the things that struck me was that I didn't see any police presence, which I find interesting because when we had the Breonna Taylor demonstrations, the police were all over the place with guns ready to
Yeah, these were mostly
spray.
white people, I think, at the No Kings rally.
Right, and one of the things I saw in the coverage of it was that there were these right-wing influencers like going around trying to start trouble in the No Kings rally, and they were asking this woman, how come there are no black people here? Aren't they supposed to be represented? And she gave a very good explanation. She said, well, if you have a lot of black people here and the black people are aware of this, the police will show up and they will start cracking heads.
Right.
So it's not necessarily black people's fight to begin with, because white people put Donald Trump in office.
That's correct.
By huge numbers. But
I actually did see some cops on bicycles, but they were really helping the Community Defense Network security people sort of block off the roads as we were crossing the roads and stuff. So very friendly police presence on bicycles, keeping people safe.
Oh, that's good. And I don't know if the police were routing traffic or diverting traffic, but when we were in the early part of the rally, there were cars going right down, what was it, Jefferson Street, or is it Jefferson, or was it Monroe?
Liberty, Jefferson.
Liberty. Okay, there were cars coming across, because people were on one side of the street rallying it, and then they were on the other side of the street, but there were cars coming through until everything started officially, and I saw a cordon of people block the traffic
Right.
and direct it anywhere, but they didn't look like police officers to me, so that I found interesting as well.
Yeah, I think it was L-Surge people.
Because the police usually this is one of the things that did bother me about this. The police, if they're there, they should be doing things like directing traffic and making sure the people participating in the rallies are safe. But again, you saw a few police, I didn't see any. And there was volunteers who rerouted the traffic, and it did stop traffic for a while because there was a march from, was that City Hall where it started? Or it went around City Hall.
They call it Metro Hall.
Metro Hall, yeah. And so they went around the courthouse and they came down probably Market Street and then went down again. So there were people, if you were looking north at the crowd, there were still people south starting the walk. So that's why I put the number at least, I'd say 15,000 people were there. But why were we there? That's the question you have to ask. And it's because the Trump administration has done so many bad things that people are finally, waking up. A lot of people are waking up. Like you were talking today about gas prices.
Yeah, I filled up, and I either go to Costco or Kroger because I have discounts at both places. At Kroger today, the gas price was $4.39 a gallon, and I got my little 10 cents off because I spend so much money there. So for my little Honda Accord, 16 gallons cost me $71 today to fill up my car.
Yep.
Never, ever have I spent that much money on gasoline for my car. And, I can probably afford it. I've got some savings and whatnot, but how are people affording this? And then every time I go to the grocery store, everything is so expensive. I rarely get out of the grocery store spending less than $100.
Right. Yeah. Same with me. And you look at the basket that you go out with,
Yeah.
and it's like, wait a minute, that can't be $100 worth of food when it's only like 2 bags that you're filling up. And I think that's another reason why the No Kings rallies are getting more and more people, because gas prices are ridiculously high because of the war that Trump started. Food prices are high, and they're going to go higher because of the war that Trump started. And
Medicaid,
yes, all the health
stuff. I think in Kentucky, we're now going to have co-pays for Medicaid, both for prescription drugs and for office visits. Now, they're not going to be really high co-pays, but there were $0 co-pays before. And, these are people who live in poverty. And again, I think people are just seeing rising healthcare costs, food costs, gasoline costs, et cetera. Housing costs are very high also.
Yeah. Well, it's because of this crazy man in the White House. I don't know if you saw his tweet today about the end of civilization in Iran if they don't do something within
By
the
8
next,
o'clock.
literally within the next 3 hours.
Yeah.
He's threatened to blow them up, which, there are so many scary implications to this. But it's also the fact that if he goes through with this, he's committing a war crime. And everyone knows it's a war crime. But what is the world going to do about this? Because we already see that the Republicans aren't going to do a damn thing. I see that one House person has started like an impeachment drive, a woman in, I forget what state she's in, but she's saying that the 25th Amendment should be applied to the Trump administration or to Donald Trump himself.
And what is that? What's the 25th?
That's the 25th Amendment, is when the president is incapable of carrying out the duties of the office.
Mm-hmm.
Then the cabinet can, I believe, make a recommendation to Congress to get rid of him, and they would do that. But Trump has so many sycophants in his cabinet that that's not going to happen. The other part of it, too, is, since we're talking about sycophants in the cabinet, 2 of his biggest sycophants have been fired. That would be Pam Bondi as Attorney General and Kristi Noem as Homeland Security top person. And, they were very loyal to Trump and everything he does. And they were the first to go out, despite their groveling for Trump.
They have the wrong genitalia.
Right, that's right. I think I'm going to use this weird word here, and it's going to sound worse than it is, but this is a homosocial administration. And what I mean by that is that they only feel comfortable when they are surrounded by other men.
White male supremacy.
Right, and this is, Hegseth has proved this because in the U.S. military, he is not allowing the promotion of women. He's not allowing the promotion of minorities. He's firing black people, women, minorities, and he's promoting white male Christians, which to me is another ominous sign, because that's the whole mentality of the far right Christian, is that we want a war in Iran and we want to blow up Iran because we want Jesus to come down and it'll be the rapture and all the non-believers will be left on, it's like the Left Behind series. All the non-believers will be on earth and all the believers will be transported magically up into heaven as the reward for being true Christians. But the other side of this too is that they're not true Christians. If you follow the teachings of Christ
and the Pope, who talked about peace.
Yeah, it's like what they're doing is anathema to what the Bible says, yes. And they just don't care.
Thou shalt not kill.
Thou shalt not commit adultery. Like they've got that whole list going.
Well, the other thing you said about the military is also scary, which is that Hegseth may be building up his force to stage a coup.
That's right. Yeah.
Which is terrifying.
It's not necessarily a coup against Donald Trump.
Right.
It's a coup involving the next midterm election. Because if you look at the numbers, Trump is doing badly everywhere. One of the things that surprised me this week was I looked up what Trump's approval rating is in Kentucky, and he's at 47%, which, I was shocked. I thought he would be way above 50%, but Kentucky is to me, that shows that people are aware of what's going on in this state, which is promising. But we have elections coming up, so for example, what's going to happen in the districts where the Republican candidates don't talk to their constituents? Are the constituents going to pay them for that, or pay them back for it and vote them out of office? What's going to happen in Thomas Massey's district, because Massey has been totally on Trump's case about all the evil shit Trump's been doing with the Epstein files and everything else. Well, his constituents, they continue to support him, and I would think it's a promising event if Massey wins again, because that shows that Trump is not invincible here.
Well, and we're seeing Democrats win in heavily Republican districts that supported Trump.
But have we seen it in this state? That's the
exactly.
issue. Yeah, and that's
But to see it in Texas, or
right.
Florida and other places,
right.
Where Mar-a-Lago is. I mean,
right.
that's a big deal.
Yeah, the state rep for Mar-a-Lago is now a Democrat, and that was an area that Trump won by a just overwhelmingly won. And Democrats across the country are seeing some advantages, but there are problems too, because the Democrats, especially the corporate Democrats, are still taking money from people they shouldn't be taking money from. Their concern seems to be more about appeasing the rich donors as opposed to dealing with the problems that their constituents are facing. I saw something this week where Cory Booker in New Jersey was on some podcast with a liberal podcaster, and they were just ripping him for like being a tool of AIPAC.
And what's AIPAC, Jesse?
The Israeli lobby.
Right.
It's big donors to all candidates, but its interests are more Israel than they would say. They wouldn't say that, but their interest has seemed to be more Israel than the well-being of Americans, which, but they have the money to throw around, and the billionaires have the money to throw around to the Trump administration. So we've got a lot of things to deal with.
And I also, think that the ICE raids and these detention facilities, these concentration camps, I think that's bringing out more people too. And I just wanted to mention to people in Louisville that ICE is here. I'm gonna read you something from a Signal chat that I'm on. Today was a bad day at ISAP. ISAP stands for Intensive Supervision Appearance Program. It's an ICE program. They're at 931 South 3rd Street, which is very close to where Jesse and I live in Louisville. It could have been worse had not one of our defenders been on patrol there. She was able to video the entire abduction. Our defender realized that the neighbor who had dropped off the woman was still in the parking lot waiting for her return, but our defender was there alone. So we went out with a quick ask to other people in our group, and other defenders showed up within minutes. Then, with a Spanish speaker from the hotline on her speakerphone, our defender approached the neighbor who had dropped off the woman, and we found out that it was his mother who had been abducted. Disbelief was voiced, tears shed, and our defenders remained present with him until he could speak. She asked if he needed a hug, and he did. He said he had seen her when he pulled into the lot and thought maybe she was a helper of some kind. He smiled and thanked her for being there. Today was a bad day, but it could have been worse. We're having a lot of bad days, and Louisville is not a special place. This is happening everywhere. And for those of you in cities across our state and across the country, don't be deluded to the fact that ICE isn't in your city. Yeah, maybe it's not Minneapolis, but it's happening everywhere. And I just want to encourage people, especially Spanish speakers. We need Spanish speakers because that is the community that's mostly being impacted, and we need people to help us talk to people, children whose parents are ripped away from them, etc. We also need people just to go and take video and document this, because we are not letting this go silently and invisibly. So again, Louisville Surge, SURJ. If you're elsewhere in the state and you want to know what's happening in your cities, I'm sure that Louisville Surge could point you in the direction of what's happening across the state. In fact, I know that they're doing that.
And just to be clear, it's not just Spanish speakers who are in danger of being taken away. It's people of color. That's what it comes down to, because I have a friend who lives in one of the mountain states who we were talking about, like, flying up to Arizona just for to meet up and say hi. And I had things to do. I was planning to do some things in Arizona. This friend was planning to do some things in Arizona as well, but I couldn't go because the reasons for me going to Arizona didn't come through. And this friend didn't go because, well, this friend is American born and has been in this country like her whole life, and but she's Asian, of Asian heritage. She's a fully American, but of Asian heritage, and she's aware that they take away Americans if you're a person of color and if they are in a mood, they will hassle you. And you see these other things where people in other countries aren't coming to America because ICE is picking up tourists. It's like, someone saves money to go on vacation in the United States, and they're in the States, and some ICE agent picks them up and puts them in detention. This has happened. So they're arresting, like, they're taking away people who are visiting. They're taking away people who are American citizens, but their focus is on taking away people who are of color, and they don't know. Like, you don't know if someone's here legally or not,
right?
But they're just picking up anybody and taking them away, and
we've seen a lot of police brutality. I mean, I just keep seeing videos of
ICE brutality or police brutality.
Well, ICE brutality.
Mm-hmm.
Just it's very devastating. And also, I want to mention, as a Jewish person, watching protesters in Israel get beaten up by the police in Israel. It's just really been devastating to watch. I just read today that a synagogue was bombed in Iran, and Iran reports that it was the United States. It's not confirmed right now, but all of this stuff about this Iran war and everything that's going on, and then anti-Semitism here, and I think, is it Penn State now? Universities are being asked to show lists of their Jewish faculty and students. Yeah. I mean, where have we heard this happen before? It didn't go very well in history. So
let's just say it was Nazi Germany.
Yeah, it was Nazi Germany. So
there are parallels that we don't want to see, and we're seeing them now. And it's this.
And I just had a Passover Seder, and it's all about the Exodus and next year in Jerusalem. But, a lot of us really are really questioning, actually, our loyalty to Israel as it is. And we're not happy with the way that the settler violence is going in the West Bank. Actually, there was just a law passed now that if you are deemed a domestic terrorist as a Palestinian in Israel, you can get the death penalty. And that is not applied to Jewish people in Israel.
That's amazing.
So, as a Jewish person, I'm just, I don't know, I try to stay up. Today I was at Bernheim Forest working with kids for spring break and teaching them about beavers and, scat, tracking animals and stuff like that. And that was my happy place. But it's rough out there, you guys. I know it. I know you're feeling it too.
Yeah, and it's not, we see that there are signs of hope around the country, as you said earlier, that there are elections that are going in favor of non-Trump candidates, which is good.
Very good.
But again, this is a matter of are we going to make it to the next election?
Right.
It's just it's a very scary time in this country right now, and we just don't know what's going to happen. We haven't even talked about like the reason that the Iran bombing took place. The reason we attacked Iran is because he wanted to divert attention from the Epstein files.
Right.
And
Iran.
Yeah. Right.
From the Epstein files.
Right. Yeah. But it's that idea that, that was the Epstein files was the most important thing going on in the country.
Do you ever hear about it right now?
No, because we're all obsessed with Iran, which we shouldn't be. But that's the whole point. That's why the attention has been diverted. That was an intentional move to get Epstein files out of the news. And when this is over, when Iran is over, will it be over? Who knows? They'll try to extend it as long as they can, and they'll extend it into the 2026 elections.
Right, for sure.
To make sure that they can say that, we're under terrorist threat and we can't have elections this year. And that's the coup. That's what the plan would be.
And the Republicans that are enabling him and the judiciary, Congress, etc. It's just mind-boggling to me. Plus, when you're in a state like Kentucky, our legislative session has been winding down, and it wasn't a good year for bills. Chemical companies that make pesticides, they're not going to be regulated. Right. They don't have to report on it.
They won't be sued. One of the things that I read in the legislation was that if they put out a product that causes physical harm to people, we can't sue because the state legislature, probably in the pocket of the pesticide industry, has decided that, lives are less important than these businesses.
Yeah, and in the legislature, we had the legislature passed this broad election bill with changes for immigrants and donation limits, and it's pretty whack. Unfortunately, many of us have been trying to have previously convicted felons be able to vote again, and now the administrative office of the courts has to send Kentucky's Board of Elections an all-time list of people convicted of felonies, including those pursuing appeals and establishing they're ineligible to vote. And that there are more black people per capita.
That's the whole point.
Right. Yeah. So they're not allowed to vote.
Let's be logical here.
Yeah.
If Donald Trump resided in Kentucky, would he be able to vote under that law? And the answer is yes, he'll vote under that law because
but
the law's racist.
Exactly. He's a convicted felon 34 times over. Also, candidates now running in judicial races can publicly discuss their political affiliation, though races would remain nonpartisan on ballots. Why do you think that?
But what do you mean by that? Because one of the questions I would have of anyone on the ballot is, if I'm at any event, I'm going to ask, it's like a candidate forum, and there are candidates from, non-designated parties. I would ask them, who did you vote for in the 2024 election?
Yeah.
And that will determine who I'm going to vote for. So I'm not sure what the point of that is.
Well, I think in a red state, I think it just, I think it's going to show you that they're going to rule on the side of pro-life, for example.
yeah.
You know, like they're going to rule the way that you want them to rule when it's very obvious what their political affiliation is.
So what's the point of the law? That's because right now we have more elections. I'm noticing that are
Nonpartisan.
non-party related. So I think I want to know what party the person's with, and this law seems to say that we'll tell you what party the person's with.
Yeah.
Is that a bad law or a good law?
I don't think it's a good law, especially with how partisan we are. They may be a terrible judicial candidate,
Yeah.
and then they're going to be in your party and you're going to
Yeah.
vote for them.
Yeah,
I don't
but
think that's good.
I agree with that, but is it better that you don't know what they're standing for and you're voting for someone who you don't know? You think, well, this person is, let's say, a woman on the Democratic ticket, so or I vote for the man on the Republican ticket, and then I find out that the woman on the Democratic ticket is
But you're a
MAGA
black
supporter.
man in an urban area in Kentucky, so you're a rarity, and what we have here in this little blue dot is a rarity. I
Yeah.
think the rest of the state, it's not going to be good.
But even okay, we have.
But we can-
Yeah, we will.
The other thing that I want to mention is they're raising campaign contribution limits in Kentucky races. So $2,200 per candidate per election, $5,000 for a political party per year. It's going up because there are higher federal limits now, $3,500 per candidate and $10,000 for a political party. And for those of us who are fighting Citizens United, because there's so much money in this, it's just making it worse. And you're just going to have to be richer and whiter to win any kind of public office. Anyways.
Which is kind of what it is now, right?
Yeah. We're good with letting wealthy people choose our elected officials.
Uh-huh.
That's the bottom line.
And let's emphasize this point that if gas prices are $4.90 in Kentucky, wealthy people, that doesn't affect them at all.
No.
If food prices are through the roof, wealthy people, it doesn't affect at all. It's like a rounding error. One of the things that's been talked about, and we discussed this earlier, was there are moves, I think Elizabeth Warren is behind it, to increase the wealth tax on the billionaires. And my understanding is that if your net worth is over $1 billion, you would get a 3% tax, which is, when you think about it, it's really nothing. But the amount of money that would bring in, given all the billionaires that we have in this country, would fund all of the programs, all of the social programs that are being cut by the Trump administration and being funded, the cuts in the Trump administration are being used to fund the war effort. And, he talked about increasing the Defense Department budget. I'm not going to call it the War Department. I refuse. But he's talking about increasing that budget to $1.5 billion. Trillion dollars, yes, I'm sorry. Like 1.5 billion is nothing.
Yeah.
1.5
We're spending
trillion.
more than $1 billion a day in Iran.
Right. So we've got that going on, and we've got, and this idea that we can't afford social programs is just ridiculous.
Right.
Because one of the things I hate doing in life now is listening to anything coming out of the Trump administration, and okay, there was just a message on my screen that Tucker Carlson said MAGA is evil or something, which okay, that's weird, but anyway, what was I saying? I think I just got distracted. But
By Tucker.
No, about before that. The 3% wealth tax. Yeah, I did some calculations, and I was looking at the richest person in America right now is Elon Musk, and his fortune is like over $850 billion. And if you apply a 3% wealth tax to him, the amount he pays is less than $3 billion, which means that it's less than $30 billion. So that means that the amount of money you would get from him would be minuscule compared to what his overall fortune is, and would do so much to improve the lives of so many people in this country. And, so you got him at almost $1 trillion. You've got Zuckerberg and Bezos and all those other, like, plutocrats is what they are. They would not feel this wealth tax at all. A 3% tax on me or you, we would notice. But for a billionaire, that's nothing. And there's this, they're fighting it. They don't want to pay the minuscule amount of money that would help this country get better. But then they're supporting an administration that is doing everything it can to destroy democracy.
Right.
So I mean, it's now at the point where billionaires are the biggest threat to democracy. And, if without billionaires, I don't think Trump wins elections. Without billionaires, I think the world is probably a better place. But the billionaires will say that they are, they're job creators. And, they pull out all this other bullshit that they talk about. What is it? Mark Zuckerberg, his companies have been found guilty of actually harming the lives of children.
Yeah.
But he's appealing that because, he's a scumbag. And it just continues and continues. And the billionaires have bought up all the media companies. They're buying up everything that, we care about and not letting people have access to it. So there's just something overly wrong with the country right now.
I've had asthma my whole life, and we live in the Ohio River Valley, and I had mentioned that State Senator Dan Syme years ago had eliminated our vehicle emissions testing, which is so dumb because our air just stinks. I can always tell when I come into Louisville because it starts smelling really bad and polluted. But now, we've got, again, when Trump goes after clean alternative energy, right? And he wants to remove all the the regulations on coal, right?
Right.
It's killing us. We already have like the biggest lung cancer. I think we're the highest lung cancer rates
in the country.
Yes, in Kentucky.
Yeah, because we produce tobacco.
We used to. We still have more smokers here than almost everywhere.
Yeah, that's right. More smokers anywhere in the country, right? So, and you combine that with the fact that they're shutting down hospitals, they're taking away the ability to teach children. They're
well, and without gas money, I mean, let's face it, that's going to remove access to for a lot of people to get to healthcare anyway, because you're not going to be able to afford to drive.
Right, and so you're not only you can't drive to where you want to go, but the fact is that where you want to go is going to be farther away than it used to be because they have to close the hospitals.
Right.
So we've got like
it's a shit show.
Yeah, and really it's not looking. I would like to say that there's some hopefulness here, and I would like to say that
we've seen cracks, and we've seen cracks in the White House with these firings of these loyal women, and there's more to come. Did you mention Tulsi Gabbard?
Yeah, that's a name that's on the list. But it's easy for Trump and his boys, his homosocial administration to just do these horrible things. There's one thing I was thinking about in terms of the Iran situation, and that's the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, was giving speeches about how Iran has been wasting its money funding its military activities and not paying for social programs for its people.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, I mean, do they not see the irony in anything they say?
No.
Because do they not understand how stupid they sound? But they obviously don't, because while Marco's talking about Iran, they're not using their funds to help their people. We're not using our money to help our people. We're using our money to give to more billionaires.
And we're killing our people by sending them to this unjust war in Iran and not being able to afford health care and all the other things.
Right, and the military is doing weird things too, because I think you saw the flyby story in Tennessee where the helicopters hovered over the
The
No
rally.
Kings rally, and they flew to Kid Rock's house.
Right.
The reason I raised that is because they were based in Kentucky at Fort Campbell.
Right.
And and the Army was going to do an investigation as to why they did that, because they weren't authorized to do it. And Hegseth said,
Yeah,
no, don't do that. We're cool with it
We're
because
cool.
those are our people. So, these guys are evil.
They are.
And they're going to keep doing what they're doing until they're voted out of office. And we need, for people, people have to wake up and.
Well, I think what I'm hearing, what I'm reading is we really need to start flooding the streets every day. We can't wait a quarter to have another No Kings rally. They're
Well,
talking-
isn't the next rally supposed to be May 1st, the May Day rally?
Oh, yeah, there is a May Day rally.
It's like, don't go to work that day or
Yeah,
something?
that's right. That's important.
Yeah.
So Jesse, you did something really fun yesterday with your family. I want you to share it with all of us.
Oh, yeah. We went to Indianapolis because that's where the Final Four took place. And
Men's?
Men's Final Four. I was going to go to the women's Final Four in Phoenix if Louisville had gotten there, and Louisville didn't get there. So that eliminated my...
So Louisville and Kentucky women made it to the Sweet 16.
And the men did not.
Right.
But if you look at the coverage, the Louisville men and Kentucky men still get all the coverage,
Yep.
while the women are completely ignored. And anyway, so we went up to the men's tournament. There, Kentucky and Louisville are not in that either. But we went to the Fan Fest, and what it is just like the NBA. And a lot of corporate sponsors took over the convention center, and they had all these events and like fun things for kids to do, like had sports related challenges. They gave away free stuff. There were games all over the place that the kids could play. We watched a 3-on-3 basketball tournament for a while, and it was a really good day to be with family, and it's also just something to divert attention from the bad things that are happening in the country. So that was worth doing. I have 2 grandchildren. The boys had a lot of fun. I went with their dad. My brother is a reporter for ESPN, so I saw him there. He was covering the game.
Cool.
And it was,
That's
it was
awesome.
a good, it's good to see family. We saw them in another place. We weren't in a place where we were at home. We were visiting somewhere, but we're close enough that we can get up to see each other, and that's good.
That is good.
And
we saw another documentary, very different.
oh yeah, there was
I really hated it, Jesse. I'm really sorry that I watched it. It was
but
Murder in Glitterball
the murder
City.
in Glitterball City, and the reason we watched it, Amy and I and my wife watched it together, is because it
It's
happened around the event that it centers on is a murder that took place in a house that's a block and a half from where I live on 4th Street. And the whole the overarching message is that 2 gay guys were living together. They got a third gay guy.
A lot of drugs.
A lot of drugs were involved. They killed him, buried him in the basement of their
Broke
house.
his bones and
Broke his
put him
bone,
in a
storage container.
Yes.
And buried him in the house. And the reason that the police eventually found it out was because they had a fight. And the homeowner called the police on his lover, and the lover ratted him out and said, "Well,
dig him up.
yes, there's a
dead
body."
guy.
But the interesting thing was that there was a trial. One person was convicted, the other person was not convicted of murder, but they was convicted of another thing, and this all takes place around the block from where I live. The event itself happened before we moved to Louisville. You were in Louisville at the time.
I was in Louisville, but I wasn't in this
we weren't
neighborhood.
aware. Yeah, we weren't in the neighborhood. But this was, I walk by the house and when I take these long walks through the city every other day or every day, and I always walk by this house, and I didn't know the history behind it. But The reason we don't like the this documentary, it's called Murder in Glitter Ball City, is because the glitter ball for discos was invented in Kentucky, in Louisville.
Right.
So that's why this is Glitter Ball City, and it's an HBO documentary, and
David Dominy basically
Write a
sold
book.
the rights of this. Was it HBO? He
right,
sold it
yeah, so to HBO, yeah.
And David runs tours here in Old Louisville. They have like a haunted house tour
Right,
and
right.
all that kind of stuff. He's written some books.
About ghost stories.
And I'm not crazy about his writing, and I think he's an opportunist and things. And I felt like this documentary was so sordid, and the characters that they brought into
Right.
the documentary. I mean, you would just think all of us are like 400 pounds, toothless,
and
idiots,
ignorant, and yeah,
total ignorance.
Not like you look at them and say, "Well, that person's an idiot." The person uses it, the words come out of their mouth saying that they're an idiot. Like
Yeah.
there's one person who says, "Well, I don't read those books because there's all those words and my eyes keep moving and I it hurts my head." And I think, "Oh fuck,
And
what's
then
going on here?"
they introduce a guy. Is it a pawn shop that they have?
Yeah, it's on it's across the street from Churchill Downs.
Yeah, but it had nothing
Nothing to do with it.
nothing
Yeah,
to do
yeah.
with the story.
But
no
they were
connection.
just weird people.
They were weird
very
people.
weird people.
Like,
And
they found some really good weird people.
yeah, there were lots of weird people, and that's the impression you get if you watch the documentary. That
We're all
we're-
dumbasses. It's like Deliverance in
yeah,
Louisville.
right. Yeah, it's left wing Deliverance almost. Like
gross.
they're as you said,
And it's sad.
overweight.
The whole thing around the drugs is really sad.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that was murdered, he was a beautiful homosexual man from Eastern Kentucky. And, he came to Louisville and he was selling drugs and, part of that whole epidemic, and got caught up with these crazy guys. The other thing I really hated was that the guy that's now in jail forever, in prison forever, he did have some justice system placements. In other words, he had broken the law and he looked weird, right?
Spiked head,
Spiked
hair,
and then the guy that didn't stay in jail and who has since disappeared, changed his name, nobody knows where he is now, and he's alive. He looked like, a white kind of male office worker, white collar worker and stuff. But he was, they both were guilty.
Yeah,
There's no doubt about
they're
it.
both guilty. The fact that this is what I would call a no-brainer, because if I went to Amy's house and killed somebody and she knew about it and helped me bury the guy, we're both guilty. we're both guilty.
Of
And the
course.
fact that they murdered this guy the year before, and like 6 months later, they decided that they decided to rat each other out, shows that they're both guilty, because they could have come in 3 days after the murder and said, "Hey, there's a body in my basement," and he did it.
Yeah.
But they just held it off. So that
And
was
then you have these weird people in the neighborhood talking about how houses are haunted and ghosts and things like that. It's so dumb.
But the haunted house thing is a tour thing here. Like
Yes.
every year they do
that's
this.
his tour thing.
That's David Domney's tour, yeah, where they go around and they talk about the ghost of old Louisville.
Yeah.
And every house has like some kind of story behind it. But the people in the documentary
Are crazy.
actually believe that there are ghosts in their house.
crazy.
And it was it was one
Don't
of these
watch
things
it.
where we don't recommend it. Thumbs down.
Thanks a lot, Jesse, for making me watch this thing.
Ugh.
Ugh.
Yes, it's my fault.
It
But
is.
there was another documentary on, which has nothing to do with Kentucky. It was on Henry David Thoreau, and it's a 3-part series on PBS, and it's just about Thoreau. And the reason I'm talking about this is because my cousin is in the second episode talking about Thoreau, and the reason is, this is a old family history, but my brother and I have different fathers. But my brother's father had a brother who was in jail in the 1950s, and he was in jail with Malcolm X before when Malcolm X was Malcolm Little. And this uncle actually introduced Malcolm X to Thoreau. And so that's where some of his civil disobedience ideas came from. And so my cousin's there talking about this, and it's like, what? It's weird to see like a family member on a major documentary, but there he is. And so that's just interesting. Just a little. There's been a lot of like Hollywood interest in sort of tied to my life recently.
That's so true.
We had the
Pretty soon you're going to be the protagonist in a major blockbuster.
yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But we did have Ethan Hawke and Maya Hawke film a movie in our house about 3 years ago. So, you know,
I have a little bit of a crush on Ethan Hawke, by the way.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to do that.
They do.
A lot of women do.
He's kind of cool.
But
I like Maya too.
yeah, I got to meet Ethan. I didn't get to meet Maya, but I got to meet Ethan and his team and his wife. So, you know,
And they took really good care of your house.
they
Were
did.
really
Yeah, they
gracious.
put us out of the house for a few days. They paid us for using the house. They did things like moved furniture around. But if you see the movie's called Wildcat, by the way. And
About Flannery O'Connor.
it's the life of Flannery O'Connor, and it's about the short story she wrote. And the confusion in the movie is that they use the same characters in Flannery O'Connor's story for as the same actors are acting as the people who participate in her short stories.
Right.
So
I liked it.
yeah, we give that a thumbs up. We give Murder in Glitterball City a thumbs down.
Right.
So that's our look at our little cultural effort today.
There you go.
Yeah. And
So I was out at Bernheim today, and it's spring break here, and all kinds of kids were out in nature, and it just made me so happy.
was this like grade school or high school or?
There were kids of all ages with their parents, but I think the camp is for, grade school kids primarily. Yeah. And I just love seeing kids and their families out in nature. The weather is so beautiful right now. It's like crisp air and it's sunny, and hopefully things won't freeze, because I have a plot in our community garden here in Old Louisville, and I have beets, cabbage, kale, and radishes coming up. So it better not freeze.
Okay, I'm sure. Well, it's supposed to get into the 70s and 80s later this week, but I think it goes down to the 60s next week.
Yes.
But yeah,
Crazy weather.
I really prefer. I can't say I guess I prefer warm weather than cold weather, but if it goes above like 90, then I got a problem.
Especially
I've got
for
a problem.
day after day
Yeah,
after day.
yeah, and
Which is Louisville.
Yeah, in the summer, like last summer, I would take walks early in the morning because it'd be like in the 80s very early, but then again in the 90s in the afternoon, and it's really hard to walk. I usually walk like at least 5 miles, and 5 miles in 90-degree weather is not fun.
No.
But 80 degrees, it's fine. And when I lived in San Francisco a few years ago, I thought that was perfect weather because it was always 60 degrees.
Yes,
It seemed like
it is perfect.
winter, spring, summer. There's one part in San Francisco where it does get very hot. That's usually October. But otherwise, it's, the weather is walking weather every day. I would walk to work. I lived like a mile from the office. And on weekends, I would just walk from my house to probably the Golden Gate Bridge, which was a very substantial walk.
Yeah.
But, I got to see a lot of stuff, and I really enjoy doing that. It's the way I stay healthy because I don't
And
go
you're
to
a
the gym.
vegan.
And I'm vegan, yeah.
Oh, my
I had
God.
to go vegan because of health issues. So
Speaking of walking, my son and I took a great hike. Right now, wildflowers are out, they're so prolific. And my favorite trails right now for wildflowers in the Kentuckiana area, the Louisville metro area, are in Charlestown State Park, Indiana. So
How
it's
far
right
is that?
across 25 minutes,
Okay.
maybe. And I'm telling you guys, Virginia bluebells, trillium, Dutchman's breeches, all trout lilies, wood poppies. Everything is out right now. So I would definitely encourage you to be healthy, move your body, get out in nature, do things that stop doom scrolling, but do pay attention and try to, be active and be of service in your community, because our neighbors really need us right now.
Right, and it's not anything that's going to be, the issue isn't going to be resolved anytime soon, because as long as this administration is in power, things are going to get worse. And I'm usually a pessimistic person, but I think I'm accurate on this one, because there's just consistent badness.
And I'm not a pessimist, but I'm not feeling too good today.
Yeah.
This whole 8:00 p.m. deadline so that he can obliterate a whole country, I don't know. I just never thought in my lifetime we'd be dealing with someone like this. Plus, you know what? Vance is in Hungary.
Yeah, trying to get support for Orban. Yeah, another dictator.
I know.
This is just consistent. And here's the thing, that even if Trump is forced out of office, J.D. Vance is president.
But he's not popular.
Oh, yeah, but Trump's not popular, except among the MAGA. They're like rabid. There's this rabid popularity for Trump that doesn't exist for Vance, because we've discussed this before. J.D. Vance has gone by 4 different names, I think.
Oh, and did you see that he just wrote another...
Changed his religion? Yeah.
Well, he just wrote another book, and he puts a picture of a church. The church doesn't know who he is. He's never stepped foot in that church.
Well, it's also about converting to Catholicism, and the church isn't a Catholic church.
Right.
So, this is
such a liar.
But he's a liar. But he's a liar that's owned by the
Peter Thiel and
who's the other guy? Who's owned by Peter Thiel and Elon.
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 For sure. He's a pawn.
His interest is
making a lot of money.
He's made a lot of money. He's going to make more money.
Seth is making a lot of money.
But Trump has made like billions of dollars as president. And
right.
I'm not even going to go into
plus insider trading. Look what's happened with the market manipulation and all the people that are inside making all that money.
It's not only that it's insider trading, but it's we can tell from what's happening in the stock market that Trump is telling people stuff before it happens. They go out and they buy stocks knowing how they're going to go, and when Trump makes the announcement, the stock increases. These people make a lot of money. They dump it as soon as they make their profit, and then like 2 days later, what Trump says he's going to do, he doesn't do, or he just completely changes the calculation. And it's happened several times during the Iran invasion.
I mean, Martha Stewart is quaint compared to this.
What did she do? Oh, she did insider trading too.
She went to jail. To a nice jail.
Well, minimum security country club, kind of like where Maxwell is, right now. Did you know that, I didn't realize this till this year or last year, that Ghislaine Maxwell is the daughter of Robert Maxwell, who was a corrupt journalist in the UK. Robert Maxwell owned a bunch of papers. He was like, if you have Rupert Murdoch, Robert Maxwell was equal, except the difference is that Robert Maxwell got caught and got put in jail, whereas Murdoch is smart enough to not get caught. But anyway, Maxwell was this tabloid owner in the UK, and I didn't realize till this year or late last year that she's his daughter. So she's, it's like the corruption has gone from generation to generation in that case. And she must have something on Trump, because he's been very acquiescent to her.
Yes.
We should stay tuned on that, because either she's going to end up dead or she's going to rat him out. And it also will be interesting to see what happens with the Epstein files now that we have a new attorney general, because Pam Bondi did everything she could to avoid putting the information out.
Yeah, but so will this guy.
Yeah, he will.
He's a bro.
He's
a white bro.
But he's also Trump's personal attorney.
Exactly.
Yeah,
he's probably in the files.
Yeah, I'm sure. You should always like.
Sorry,
In
guys.
general, people, if you want something interesting to do, just like type your name into the Epstein files, see if your name comes up.
Right.
Because there are a lot of people who are doing that and finding that they are there. And there's so many famous people
Yeah,
in the Epstein
it's so
files. It's just
depressing.
so many famous people, so many rich people.
Stephen
And-
Hawking.
Yeah, yeah, he's in it. It just seems like everybody's in it. Like I think Naomi Campbell, the model, is there. Alan Dershowitz, which everybody expected to be there, but there's this. In the Epstein files, I think it said that Bill Gates asked Epstein for a medication to deal with a sexually transmitted disease. I mean, these are just staggering things that are coming out, but you know they're still. How do I say this? The billionaires are still billionaires. They're nothing is
richer by the
affecting
day.
them. They feel like they can do anything
The
they
Iran
want.
war is going to enrich
Trump-
them more.
Yeah, Trump is doing everything to make sure that they make more money. If they make more money, then they're going to donate more money to the Republicans in Congress. So
And
for now, the
back
answer is
judicial
for,
candidate.
yeah, for all intents and purposes, the thing to do in the next election is not vote for Republicans, but also to deal with Democrats who are taking billionaire money, because they obviously don't care about their constituents either. So I think we should wrap this up.
I do too.
Because,
Sorry, guys. I mean,
yeah,
I
this
don't
was not-
mean to apologize. It's just bad.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm usually much more upbeat. I think I'm tired, so
Right.
maybe I'll take a nap now.
So, but I'm sure that there must be something hopeful out there, and if anyone's listening to this, why don't you put a comment in our post and just let us know what you think, or whether we're off base.
Where
or
are you hiking? I want to go.
Me?
No, I want people to post where they're
Oh,
hiking so
oh,
I
yeah.
can go.
Yeah, let us know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Let us know if you were at
The fun
the protest, and
Waterfront Wednesday starting up later this month. I look forward to that.
right, free concerts on the waterfront.
That's right.
So there are things to look forward to,
Yes.
but let's
If
just
the world exists.
yeah, let's
Sure.
just see if we can get through tonight.
Right.
That's how bad
There we
things
go.
are. Okay, so
See ya.
we'll be back. It's so hot.
Maybe.
Our closing music is by John Chamberlain.